Is it time for the Mets to finally move on from Brett Baty? This is Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio on all social media. Make sure you subscribe to Mets Daily. Smash that thumbs up on the video below. Comment below. What do you think of the Mets homestand where they went 5-1? I'm back. Ears still a little bit clogged, but we're feeling a little bit better each day. We're taking meds. So we're almost at 100% here, but we had to be back on an off day. It's a Mets off day. Before they head to Sacramento, we got lots to catch up on. So welcome back to the program. And of course, share Mets Daily with all your Mets friends and family. Bye Bye Birdie was a musical I saw growing up. Well, now it's about Bye Bye Baty. And let me preface what I'm about to say with this. Don't boo Brett Baty. You know, if he's still on the team next week when the Mets return to Citi Field on Thursday against the Cardinals. Don't DM Brett Baty, you suck. Don't DM Brett Baty's girl saying your man sucks. Don't hate tweet him and comment on his Instagram. The guy knows the pressure he's dealing with right now. The guy knows he has been atrocious at the plate. The guy knows he's been a failure in the big leagues. There's no need to pile on the poor guy. And I'm not saying anybody should do that. I don't think there's any place for that in general. But really for a guy who's making the league minimum, who's not making Juan Soto $51 million a year money, a guy who's a fringe roster player, there's no need for harassment or hate. But what we do as content creators, we got to tell it how it is. And how it is this guy has the yips. This guy has not been able to perform at the major league level. So as much as Brett Baty was touted for what he did in AAA, for as good of a spring training as he has, when the lights shine bright and the pressure has been on, Brett Baty has not been a Major League Baseball player. He's here because Ronnie Mauricio has not yet started his rehab games. Mauricio is getting closer and closer. He's expected at some point here in the next week or two, I believe, to probably be playing in games and simulated games. And then at some point, the Syracuse Mets. And then at some point, he's on the Major League team with the New York Mets. But Ronnie Mauricio's not there. And that left the spot for Brett Baty once Jeff McNeil went down. Brett Baty has proven he should not be here. He has just been awful to watch at the plate. He makes a big error in the field on Wednesday that cost the Mets, that leads to 2 unearned runs for Tyler McGill, who continues to mostly be fantastic so far for the Mets, but Brett Baty's been nowhere near fantastic. And the worst part is his at-bats and his approach have been dreadful. He has drawn 0 walks, zilch. His average is 111. His on base is 111. He has 3 hits, 2 singles, a double. One of those singles was a gimme infield single to the third base side. He has just been, having a poor approach. He's probably putting too much pressure on himself because he wants to perform, knowing that, hey, if I don't perform in these couple of weeks when Jeff McNeil's back, my ass is gone. And Luis Angel Acuna hasn't exactly lit it up either. I've been on the Acuna Matata train, but Luis Angel Acuna plays elite defense, which Brett Baty does not. And he can steal bases. Luis Angel Acuna has come into games late and stole bases. He's come into games and made, stellar defensive plays. Acuna has done things that make him a back-end roster player. Brett Baty, doesn't even look like a guy who should be playing baseball with the way he's playing. To not draw a walk at this point, 10 games in, is pathetic. It's putrid. And we'll pile on him here, again, without tweeting, without booing him, because this was his shot. This was his chance here to prove himself. And this isn't just but Jake, it's only a 10-game sample size. Brett Baty's hitting .210 in his career in 571 at-bats since 2022. 571 at-bats. Yes, it's been spread out over the course of 3 full seasons, parts of 2022, a small part of 2025. 571 at-bats comes out to a full everyday play. That's like a Juan Soto season playing every day. And he hasn't performed. His on base sucks. His average sucks. There's not enough power. He's not even getting to 3 ball counts. When he gets to a 3 ball count, it's a revelation for Brett Baty. So unfortunately, he's probably going to be here another week, and maybe this weekend in a minor league ballpark in Sacramento where he thrives in minor league ballparks, Brett Baty shows some power. And if he does, I wouldn't overreact because once again, he performs well in these kind of ballparks. But the end of the road is near for him, and it's not easy to just say trade him. Well, who wants him? His value is worse now. And this was the problem. If you had him come up here and he wasn't going to perform, it wasn't exactly going to be easy to trade him to a small market team and get a starting pitcher or get a relief pitcher or get a bench player. He's got no value right now. So he's probably going to have to go back to AAA, light up AAA again, and then maybe the Mets use him in a package to get something and get starting pitching help. But right now his value is low, and unfortunately I don't see much of a bright future here. And if he performs somewhere else, great. Like I'm tired of hearing, but if we trade him, he's going to do great on the Brewers or the Reds or the Pirates. Well, so great. Good for him. I'd love for him to have a nice career and make a career out of this, but it's not in New York. The time's done. I'm done with Brett Baty. He's here with Jeff McNeil. The second Jeff McNeil's ready, Brett Baty's gone. You know, Jeff McNeil is starting to hit a little bit. He's going to have to ramp it up, but he is on his way. Another guy on his way is Francisco Alvarez. Francisco Alvarez caught 5 innings in rehab Wednesday. He's got the ABS overturned call, which hopefully we get in the big leagues next season. And he had a base hit. Now, he let, I believe, 4 guys steal bases, but listen, it's his first game back. The Mets are going to have to see Francisco Alvarez here for back-to-back days, catch 9 innings before they're ready. My gut would tell me the soonest he's back is next Thursday against the Cardinals. No need to bring him back in Minnesota. Let him rehab this weekend during that Minnesota series, and let him have his return come at home. Let it happen at Citi Field next weekend in what should be a good series at, you know, maybe better weather against the Cardinals. So I see Alvarez's return coming by next weekend, which is great, Easter weekend. And listen, Hayden Sanger has done a formidable job filling in here. Luis Torrens' MRI came back clean, so he's expected to be back this weekend. Torrens has turned out to be a very good backup catcher. He just got to stay healthy, but same with Alvarez. But Sanger has not been an automatic out of the plate. He's been elite defensively. So shout out to Hayden Sanger. We all know the story by now. Whole Foods to the big leagues, finally getting his shot. He's done a really nice job. But once Alvarez come back, I'd love to keep Sanger in the system, keep him in AAA. If Torrens or Alvarez are to go down again, I think Sanger's deserved the next man up kind of spot. But Alvarez coming back is going to be huge for this Mets team. A lot of people have complained the lineup, second half of the lineup hasn't been good. Well, let's look at the second half of the lineup when he's back and when Jeff McNeil's back. The left side is the current lineup. Baty has been an automatic out. Acuna hasn't been great. Torrens has been solid, but he's not going to keep up those numbers. And Siri has been almost an automatic out as well, but because of his ability on the base pass and defense, he's had some electric moments. Same for Tyrone Taylor. He's had some moments on the base pass, some moments at the plate. He had an RBI hit the other night in the Mets win, but overall, that bottom lineup has been disappointing. But look at the bottom of the lineup when these guys are back and how much better this lineup does look. Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Nimmo, Vientos. We know that. Winker, Marte have been solid. Marte's been good at the plate. Winker's been good at the plate. Then having Alvarez, McNeil, Siri. I mean, that is a game changer getting those guys back. And when Jeff McNeil is on and he's not going to be an automatic out, and when he is getting on base and he is hitting the ball, the Mets lineup becomes so much better. And then having Acuna as that late game defensive replacement, late game stolen base potential. There's so much this lineup does when these two guys are back. And Alvarez, when Alvarez is on, being that power. Mets haven't had a lot of power at the bottom of the order. Siri and Taylor haven't homered. Beatty and Acuna haven't homered. So you finally, Winker hasn't homered. Marte hasn't. Like, they're finally get some power in the second half of that order. And Vientos has been completely lost. So I think having those guys back are going to help Vientos. They're going to help the rest of the lineup. And it's going to be a fun lineup to watch when they do come back. Coming back for a series in Sacramento will be Luis Severino this weekend. Severino will take on the Mets as they took 2 of 3 from the Marlins. They go to Sacramento. Let's take a look at the storylines of the Marlins series real quick and then the series in Sacktown. Senga, 5 scoreless innings on Monday. He picked up his first win, 77 pitches, 4 strikeouts, 5 hits, 2 walks. Soto had an RBI double. You know, just a dazzling performance from the starting pitching and the relief in that one. Tuesday, the bats came alive in a game that was freezing. Clay Holmes picked up his first win. They moved that game up from 7 to 4. Clay Holmes, 10 strikeouts. The runs kind of looked bad, but they weren't that bad. You know, the bullpen came in and struggled a little bit there with Kranick and Brazoban. Lindor had a leadoff homer his first of the season. Alonso, 4 RBI days. He continues to dazzle so far this season. Wednesday was a dud, and the Mets were kind of due for a dud. McGill was fine. That error by Baty, that's what's made it 2 unearned runs. His ERA is now .63. The offense just couldn't do anything. Mets got 2 hit. And then this weekend, like I said, Senga versus Severino will be a must-watch Sunday afternoon. Friday is a night game at 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 4 p.m. Game times have kind of been all over here with the weather, with now West Coast and East Coast and home opener. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 1 o'clock. It's getting confusing, but it'll be 7, 4, and 4 this weekend. Jacob Wilson, son of Jack Wilson, tied for the MLB lead in hits with 19. Tyler Soderstrom tied with Aaron Judge for homers. So this A's team hits a lot. They hit for homers. That ballpark, a lot of homers are hit in Sacramento there at that park. So it's going to be a good series. It'll be a really good series. Sutter Health Park in Sacramento. It's not going to be easy for the Mets to just take down the A's. So it is the Athletic. They're not the Oakland Athletics. They're not the Sacramento Athletics. They're just the ATH, and that's still very confusing. We want to close out the show today and say our thoughts and prayers are with the Dotel family, and everyone lost. Nelson Cruz's sister. Everyone lost in Dominican Republic at that nightclub. Octavio Dotel, one of the first Mets I really watched on the 1999 Mets as a relief pitcher, and a guy that I liked watching pitch, a guy that will have Nelson Figueroa, his former teammate that, they grew up in the minor leagues together with the Mets. We'll have Figgy on to talk about who Dotel was as a person, but rest in peace to Octavio Dotel. 51 years old, was lost. The collapsing rooftop of the Dominican Republic at that nightclub. Thoughts and prayers to all the lives lost in the DR. Mets have a lot of Dominican players. I know it hit a lot home for a lot of those players. It hit home for Pedro Martinez. So, again, we're sending our condolences here from Mets Daily, from me, Jake Brown, to everyone's lives who were lost in that horrible tragedy in the DR. Thank you so much for watching Mets Daily today. We'll be back tomorrow. Smash that thumbs up on the video, please. Comment below. What do you think of the Mets lineup? What do you think of Brett Baty? Is he worth anything? Can they trade him? Let us know in the comments. Sound off. We'll have a Friday show tomorrow. Get you ready for that athletic series. I'm Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio on all social media. Make sure you give me a follow, subscribe to my YouTube, and follow the show at Mets Daily Show. Thank you so much for watching Mets Daily. Thanks for subscribing, everyone, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.